Well, it's a happy new year and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and I've got Tim Delace here with me. Tim, happy new year. Wishing you all the best for 2026. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, but apart from being exceedingly hot, all good, but all good. Yes, let's hope 2026 is a good one. It started well so far. Happy. Everything's going good. All good.
No, thanks, man. We're just fighting weather this side. As I record this, and you guys will be watching this. It'll be in the middle of the Pretoria Capitals game, and we're hoping we don't get any rain in Pretoria because that doubleheader on Saturday, the Wanderers / Centurion doubleheader, didn't work out as we expected because we've had so much rain on this side of the world. But it's been good nonetheless. Welcome. This is the South African Cricket Pod. Wishing you all, you and your families, all the best for 2026. Remember, this is South Africa's #1 cricket podcast, and you can find us on X at SA Cricket Pod. Everything's in the byline at the bottom. I just get paid to say it. And subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, which is, if you're watching us on there, please click on that red button. There's lots more people who are watching but not subscribing, so please do help us along. It helps us get into the algorithms, get the word of South African cricket out to as many people as possible. You can also find us on SA Cricket Podcast and Apple Podcast and Spotify. Just search for South African Cricket Podcast, and you can buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SA Cricket Pod. In the byline, we've got 2 QR codes running. One is in the top left that you'll always see in the show. Click on that. It'll send you straight through to the Buy Me a Coffee website. And on YouTube, in the bottom right-hand corner, which I'm going to try and point my finger there. It should be right around there if you see my finger. Yes. If you click on that, you'll also be sent there. So we're just trying to cover all our bases, and you can also send us some emails at sacricketpod@gmail.com. It's been a quiet December. We don't have a lot of test cricket, but we've had a lot of SA20, and we're going to be talking about that now on the show. However, the Proteas men's team had to announce their World Cup squad for the T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. Apologies, just playing with my mic again. Happening in June, in February in India and Sri Lanka, and so we're going to be talking about that. And so we want to get that out the way. There's some initial thoughts, but I just want to give you the team, and then we're going to go through each of the talking points that happened with the team, and then we'll recap SA20. Here is the Proteas men's World Cup squad, captained by Aiden Markram. Corbin Bosch makes it in, Devil Brevis, Quinton de Kock, Tony de Zorzi, Donovan Ferreira, Marco Jansen, George Linder, Keshav Maharaj, Gwena Mapaka, Anush Nokia, Kagiso Rabada, and Jason Smith. Now, there's a lot that's been said about Jason Smith and Tony de Zorzi. I'm going to go with those that have missed out first. Tim, my view in all of this with those who have missed out has been that they have effectively played themselves out of this team. Tristan Stubbs, that everyone is asking why he's not in here. Reza Hendricks, as well. No one's talking about Reza, but they're fighting for their faves. Ryan Rickleton, exactly the same thing. They all didn't have great 2025s, and it's one of the reasons why they are not here. Tim, people are asking about SA20. People are saying, but guys are performing now. Why can't we select them? Tim, what's your view on those that did not make it, particularly the batters in Luandre Pretorius? I forgot to speak about him. Ryan Rickleton, Reza Hendricks, and who's the last one? I just mentioned it now. Tristan Stubbs.
Look, I know you're absolutely right. There was a lot said on socials when the squads came out. Fairly predictable. What I did find a bit pleasing from a South African perspective, at least, was criticism was coming from India. That the players that missed out was actually coming from India. It wasn't coming from South African supporters, which I thought was rather amusing. Like you've said it. Those players played themselves out of the team. If you'd said to me that there would be no Reza, Russie, Tristan, or Rickleton, I would have said that I'm a bit surprised. Just on the face of it, not one of those players getting in. But the fact is that every single one of those players played themselves out of the team in 2025. When you look at how they did for South Africa, because that's where they're playing for the national side, they didn't knock the door down. They didn't cement their place. And the people that were chosen ahead of them, outside of the squad, knocked the door down. They said, if you want to pick me, I'm available. Tony Dazorsi runs in India, and Jason Smith runs domestically in the precursor to the SA20. Both players showed something to Shukri and co that this is what we could have. We needed somebody to. We needed a right-left-hand combination and somebody who was in form, either Tony Dazorsi, and we needed somebody explosive in that middle order, lower to middle order, that can go from game one. And that's exactly what Jason Smith did in the T20 challenge, striking at just under 200. You can't knock the boys down. So I am sorry for those guys, but when they look at it logically, when they picked for South Africa in 2025 in this format, they didn't do enough to cement their place at the side. That is just the harsh reality for those players.
Yes, it is. And here's a point that I'd like to make categorically clear, right, off the bat. I love the fact that we've got fans in India and people who care about Proteas cricket and South African cricket in India. But fundamentally, playing in the IPL does not give you a God-given right to play for the Proteas. I do not care, or Shukri does not care what Tristan did in the IPL in India, or what Rickleton did, or whoever his name is. Because at the end of the day, what matters to Shukri is what happens when you wear green and gold. And when Tristan essentially has worn green and gold, he has stunk up the joint in a respectable manner. These men are talented. But all of the players we've named have stunk up the joint. They haven't warranted their signature. And this idea that we must be giving people opportunities based on talent and the ability that they could one day find that talent and believe and be this and find this thing and be consistent from that point on, that is a misnomer. That happens over time. It's about hard work and dedication, and these players know this, and they're working towards this. This idea that all of a sudden taking a gamble on a guy who's off form in a World Cup and hoping that they finally found themselves, it's not going to happen. A guy like Tristan has been nowhere since effectively, I think, it's that first England tour we went to where he announced himself to the world. After that, he hasn't been anywhere in colored clothing. Last year, he had a really, in not 2024, he had a great year in whites when they made him the number 3. India were here. They played really well, and the team did really well, and he did really well. But towards the back end of the year, he faded. Even in ODIs and T20s, he faded. Ryan Rickleton scores a 200 at the beginning of last year against Pakistan. We hadn't seen a double century in Test match cricket in a very long time. Warranted his selection in the T20 side and the ODI side. However, we've had series to Pakistan, to India, and to Zimbabwe. He couldn't score runs in all of those. We also went to Australia with him. He couldn't do anything. And England. So I sit there going, why must I pick a guy who, right now, Ryan Rickleton looks like a guy who plays just in November, December, and January. Any other time of the year, we don't know what Ricks we're going to get. The only good thing we love about Ricks as an opening partner, his opening stands are really important. He doesn't lose his wicket that easily. However, he does not score runs on that. He helps the partner on the other side score runs, but on his side, it doesn't work. He lays the foundation, and Ricks shoe into open for the Test for a very long time. But in coloured clothing, in limited overs cricket, he left the door open for a Quinton de Kock, and that's what happened in the press conference. Quinton, it was spoken about Quinton. It was between Quinton and Russ and Rickleton, and they chose Quinton. And you know why? Shukri called him an enigma. If you want to know Quinton's stats, go to the last show, the end of year show, because we told you Quinton averages like 60 currently in ODI cricket in 4 innings or 6 innings. And in T20 cricket, so he scored a century. He's already scored 2 other half centuries opening the batting. What has Ryan done? Right? On the others, Riza, he was given an opportunity, didn't take it. Luandre, if you can't score runs against Zimbabwe, I don't care how talented you are. If you're that next level talent at 19, you should be a world beater. You should be breaking them, with all due respect to Zimbabwe, right? And the pitches that they got. But he just fell apart in limited overs cricket and T20 cricket. And then when it came to Test, he actually played well. He warranted a selection for the Pakistan series, actually. So for me, for all of those people who are aggrieved, then there's the Matthew Bretsky crowd. Guys, come on. Really? Really? Like Matthew Bretsky, best ODI player in the world right now. 100%. But even he will tell you, from a T20 perspective, he hasn't earned it. Then there's the Jordan Harman crowd. So you guys are fighting for Jordan, but you forget that he has a brother, Ruben, who is playing for the Proteas. Ruben Harman's the one who I think is rightfully aggrieved and disappointed, because I think he's the one who should actually be in the squad as a reserve batter. But anyway, let's talk Tony. Let's talk Jason Smith. Tim, you've spoken about Jason Smith. Let me give you Jason Smith's stats at the CSA T20. Jason Smith played 4 games. And I know everyone watches IPL and they don't watch CSA T20. So let us, including Shukri and Patrick Maroney, tell you what Jason Smith did in the CSA T20, because clearly you guys are still fixated on that little tournament over there in India. Here's the thing. Jason Smith, 4 innings. He only batted 3 times. 4 matches, only batted 3 times. 1 not out, scored 149 runs, 68 not out, at an average of 74.5. and a strike rate of 196. You guys all saw in the opening match of the SA20 when he scored that 41 or 15. The biggest issue we have in South African cricket is what right now in T20? It's that lower order hitter, that lower order power hitter. You've got Donovan Ferreira, but even many of you were saying he's not consistent enough, but he's in the squad. Jason Smith's getting an opportunity because he shows those skill sets. The person who would be like, guys, maybe you could have given me a chance, Jordan Harman. The problem with Jordan is it's too late. We're only seeing it in SA20 with him batting there. At CSA T20 Challenge, he was batting at the top of the order. He wasn't batting at the bottom, in the lower order like he is for the Sunrise. He was batting at the top. So I'm a little confused as to that. The other person is Evan Jones and Delano Potgieter, who you would say maybe they deserve a chance. Delano's power hitting is not there. The strike rate's not there. Evan Jones is hit or miss. He has all the attributes, but he's hit or miss. You've seen it now in the SA20. We've seen it with the Lions. The Lions are horrible this season. Evan Jones didn't have a great CSA T20. So even then, Jason Smith was the best guy who had those attributes in South Africa that we needed at the time, and he deserves his call-up. Now let's talk about Tony. We've all had selections across different formats. Tony is one of the best players of spin in this country. Temba is the best, and I think Tony is up there with number 2. We can argue that right now. Matthew Bretsky as well, which is why maybe you could have said give him a chance, but Tony went to Pakistan. There was an injury in the team. He played in the T20s, and he scored some runs. And they kept him. And they kept him going. And so, for me, Tony's played 2 T20s. He's averaging 20 fine. He scored 40 runs. He's faced how many balls? 26 balls. His strike rate's 153. And at this point in time, they needed batting cover, and he was the incumbent. He's earned his shot. right? Yes, you can say in T20s overall, his strike rate is 119. But in this year, he was better than Ryan. He was better than Reza. He was better than Thingy. Yes, small sample size. I get it 100%. But again, here's the last thing I'm going to say about Shukri's selections. When Shukri selected Corbin Bosch, this podcast, myself included, said, why? Tim was talking about pace. And we questioned it. And Corbin's proven to be an incredible find. Even in the test arena, when Tony was selected, a lot of people were like, we're not so sure. Tony has proven it. He's even lost a spot and won it back as a middle order batter in the toughest conditions in the world in India and Pakistan. So why can't Shukri, a man who's won us the World Test Championship, why isn't he allowed an opportunity to take a wild card pick, a wild swing, a swing that could either make or break him? But has he not earned it? Has he not earned it? And don't get me going about these people who are talking about, no, it's a quota selection. Who cares? It's South Africa. If you have a problem with that, go support England, go support Australia, go support New Zealand. There's many teams who'd like your support. But Tony's earned a spot in this team on merit. And when I looked at it before, and I was like, yeah, he's been in the squad. He's there. He hasn't stunk up the joint. And we're going to a place where we need people to play spin, and he plays spin very well. So I'm sitting here going, the only thing, and this is the end of my rant, Tim, the only thing I look at the squad is two things. The balance of the squad. I didn't think they should have taken an extra seamer. I think that Kwena spot could have gone to another batter. And then the question of Othniel Bartman. Highest wicket taken in SA20, a very brilliant death bowler. Going with the Marco Kagiso Anwich axis from a bowling perspective is great with Lungi, is great, but Bartman added a little bit more and death bowling because those guys don't have the death bowling that we require. What they do have is extreme pace. I do think this team has the best bowling attack in the World Cup. Come at me, Indians, come. Tell me I'm wrong. However, that was my only thing, the balance. I kind of felt that they needed an extra batter, which is why Ruben Harman should have gotten the nod instead of Kwena. Because we've seen what Rix has done. We've seen what all the other guys have done. Ruben Harman's actually done pretty decently this year. Very well CSA T20 challenge. Very well in the SA20 before. And also did decently in SAA and also the Proteas. I wouldn't bring Rix back. I wouldn't bring Tristan back. And largely as batting cover because Ruben can play in that lower order and at the top. That's my only thing with the squad in terms of the makeup. I feel the balance is off and we're missing a substitute batter. Even though I know Jason Smith is the substitute batter, but there's only one. But it's kind of like Shukri's picked this for a series instead of a tournament. And so the question is, if, let's say, Kwena gets injured, will he be able to substitute him with a batter? I don't know. But I do know that the other thing is these squads will be finalized on the 31st of January. So that's the other thing that we need to do. But for me, that balance was the only... Because I was like, Kwena, I was like, okay, I see it. Is Kwena a better death bowler than Othniel Bartman? No, not yet. But he has the ceiling that is higher than Bartman. And so I get that from that perspective. I just don't know how many games he's going to play.
Yeah, okay, so it's a lot in there. A lot of it I agree with. I would have gone slightly differently. I'm just going to go in my thinking. I understood Tony's selection. 100% recent form, recent runs in Asia. It makes a lot of sense. It really does make a lot of sense. I just felt in this format, Ruben is better T20 cricketer. I would have gone for Ruben instead of Tony. But I'm not sitting here and criticizing Tony's selection. I understand it. It makes sense. Good players, you say good player of spin, it makes a lot of sense. And it may well work in his favor. It's certainly not a shocker. It's a selection which is well thought out. One thing I think they've missed though, and I hope it's not something we're going to regret. I've started to see some other squads, and some other squads have gone in with spin-heavy squads. We have not gone in with a spin-heavy squad. I'm sorry, I do not include Jonathan Ferreira and Aidan Markram. I'm sorry. They all do the job from time to time, but they're not spinners. They are there to hit the ball. They're not spinners. I know that this would have been controversial. I know that it also would have annoyed a few up-and-coming spinners who've been doing it on a more consistent basis.
Don't say it, Tim.
Particularly in this format.
Don't say it.
No, I'm going to say it. I think with what we've got, with the Linda and Maharaj left arm, we need an off-spinner. And I think we missed the trick. I think we missed the trick in not picking Simon. Now, if you had said to me, Simon and T20s prior to SA20 performances, I would have said, not the worst, but no, because we've got Linda, we've got Maharaj, you can go to Bjorn if you like. But his performances in this SA20 so far have proven to me that he's got people's numbers. He's got international batters' numbers in this format. I do think potentially that could be a misstep. And I will just quantify it so it's not too Team Harmer. I think this squad needs another frontline spinner. And I do think Harmer is the best in this format in South Africa at the moment, outside of the guys in the squad already. I think Chukwi may have missed a step there. And so for me, it would have been, I would have gone for him for Corona. I think we've got too many pace bowlers in that squad. I really
look,
really
and I agree with you.
Just one thing. It's one thing. I've just seen a quote here from Dale Steyn saying something along the lines of South Africa's best T20 bowler misses out of the World Cup. How? I'm paraphrasing, Dale. That's not exactly what you said, but I'm paraphrasing. He played in Asia this last year, 2025. He played 5 games. He averaged 30, and his economy was nearly 11. That's why he's not in the squad. He was given an audition, 5 games in Asia, and he didn't deliver in the same way that Ricks didn't deliver, in the same way that Tristan Stubbs didn't deliver. He had a fantastic 2024. He had a poor 2025. I know what he's capable of, but he isn't doing that at the moment in a Proteas shirt in the same way that the batters missed out on. That is why he's not here instead of Kwena.
Look, that's the thing. And the other problem is that Kwena got injured and he didn't play in India. So that was the other issue. A lot of people are saying some of these sample sizes that they never got that opportunity. And now they're in because, they did well with like the 2 games they got, which is why if I'm Ruben Hammond, I'm sitting there going, but I didn't stink up the joint. Like I was decent and I'm not there. Like for instance, Donovan Ferreira in Protea colours has not been great at all. Let's not sugarcoat it at all. And that selection in itself is just the character trait selection. It's remember when Shuku was picking test players and he was just like, I know them and they can do a job for me. This is essentially what most of the squad is. Aidan Markram's form in T20 is horrible. His form as a captain is even worse. I'm not even sure if we're going to get out of this group. I think we will. But with the way Aidan is going, he's on a hiding to nothing. And that's not on him, right? I think, T20 is one of those points where you experiment a lot and then you find yourself losing a lot more games than you should. But his form with the bat hasn't been great. His form with the bat for DSG as one of the highest paid players in the SA20 also hasn't been great. The other person is Donovan Ferreira. That's my worry, right? So if you look at that team, right, Quinton has done enough. Aiden batting at 2. Tony needs to have a very great group stages in order for him to continue, because the way I see it is if he has a couple of bad games, this is the whole timber issue in 2023. Guys are going to be calling him a quota. Guys are going to be calling for his head. He shouldn't be there. That other stuff. And it's adding a lot of pressure, but he can handle it. I just really do hope Tony starts off really well. From a form-wise, we don't know because he's currently injured. You can't say he's not playing SA20. He is. He has a team. It's called the Durban Super Giants, who technically aren't doing that well right now. So maybe they do need a Tony DeZorzi. And then if you look at 4, 5, and 6, they want Brevis to bat at 4, Miller to bat at 5, and Ferreira to bat at 6. All of them, form-wise, I don't know. That 78 that Miller got the other day in SA20, yeah, that's pretty. That looks good. Is it the Miller of old? Not so sure. Donovan closed out a game for JSK the other day. He did really well. But again, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's not consistent enough to scare them. The big thing that's going to win us this World Cup is the bowling. Linda, Nokia, Janssen, Rabada, Ngidi. That 5-man pace attack is just going to blow the barn doors over everyone else. Which is why the other thing, I was sitting there going, actually, do I need an off spinner when I've got these guys? That's my thing.
I think you do, but it's up for debate.
No, I get you. But like with the pace barrels that we have, with the pitches that are flat-ish, I sit there going, yeah, maybe an off spinner would have been great, but that's the other question about Keshav's role in this team, right? He's a leader. I think this would have been a perfect time to probably leave Keshav at home, but he's very smart as a bowler. But I get the Gwena spot could have gone to an off spinner. Subrian was also looking on some. I also didn't do that badly in India. But yeah, look, that for me, my only problem with the team is the batting. I don't think form-wise they're there. Quinton is there. Everyone else is, it's going to be tough. But I think batting-wise, South Africa's really struggled over the last 2 years in T20s, and it's coming to show. People have been given opportunities, and it hasn't worked. Tim, I'm going to let you have the final word on this one. Everybody knows my thoughts on this. But yeah, it's going to be a very long World Cup, and everyone's going to be used.
Yeah, look, I think the most important thing is this format is one we're struggling in. You're quite right. But I think if it comes together, it could go either way. It needs an awful lot to work in our favor. You're right. The form of certain individuals is problematic, but they've got basically 2/3 of a SA20 to get to find form. They've got time to find form, and they've got a high pressured competition to find form. If they find form in SA20, it puts us in a very, very good position leading into that World Cup. I agree entirely. My only concern is, I think we will score enough runs, even with the guys that are out of form. I think we will score enough runs. My worry is that bowling a lineup in T20 cricket. Is there enough variety? That's my concern. Because if you're just going to bowl 140 clicks in India and Sri Lanka, you're going to get a time. On those pitches, you're going to go.
Yeah, what also hurts us is the ability to be decent bowlers, the ability for Markram and Ferreira to be decent bowlers. And both of them bowl off spin. And the captain has 2 options in itself. And that's kind of breaking the variety, because then Patrick Moran even mentioned it multiple times that you've got Aiden and Donovan to do the job, so Yeah, look, I'm not happy with that. Probably would have wanted a spinner, but look, when I looked at that bowling attack, I was like, you know what? Anuk Nokia is faster and scarier than before. Kagiso is Kagiso. Marco is an incredibly good all rounder and becoming a global force in this format and can hit a long ball. George Linder, we've always wanted George Linder in the squad, and George Linder will be the starter in this tournament. And then you've got Lungi, many skills, able to bowl at different parts of times of the innings. And yeah, look, if I'm Shukri, I'm like, yeah, well done to Shukri and Patrick. It's a very good squad. And yeah, Shukri's character monsters, we wish you guys all the best, eh? Wish you all the best. May you shock the world. That's all we ask for. Tim, let's move on from that and do the SA20 recap. We're nearly halfway through the season. Today, the Pretoria Capitals take on the Sunrisers in Centurion in game number 14. Tomorrow, JSK take on MI Cape Town in Newlands for game number 15, which is halfway through the regular season. And so all the predictions we had, Tim, please take them and throw them out the window. Because at this point in time, 4 games in for most teams, only DSG and MI Cape Town have played 5 games. Joburg Super Kings are unbeaten. 3 wins and a no result on 15 points. Paul Royals, 3 wins and a loss on 13 points. Remember, we didn't like their squads, but somehow they 3 on a bounce. Sunrisers Eastern Cape, 2 wins, 1 loss and a no result on 12 points. If they win tonight, and I'm sure you guys are going to see it while the game's going on, they'll probably go top of the log if they do beat the Pretoria Capitals. Durban Super Giants with all the stars, the Butlers, the Claessens, the Markrams, the Conways, the Kane Williamsons, the Noor Ahmeds. Noor Ahmed is scary, by the way. 5 games, 1 win, 2 losses, and 2 no results on 8 points. They have not won a game in 4. They won their first game of the season against MI Cape Town and have not won since. Pretoria Capitals, 4 games, 1 win, 2 losses, and a no result with 7 points. They started the game with 2 losses, the series with 2 losses, and now have 1 and no result. And then the defending champions have a serious hangover. 5 matches, 0 wins, 4 losses, and 1 no result, sitting on 2 points. They effectively, in their halfway point in the season, have to win every game from this point on to give themselves a chance at qualifying for the playoffs and the eliminators. So it's been very disappointing for MI Cape Town. Tim, what is your standout thing for this season so far that you've watched before we actually go into the nitty-gritties of the tournament?
I would say the standout for me is Richard Gleeson. Richard Gleeson with 8 wickets. I think he's second in the competition.
Yeah.
I thought he was one of those guys. Now, I've always been a fan of Richard Gleeson, but I thought it was one of those individuals where we needed to move on from. We needed to be playing in less marquee T20 competitions. And perhaps a bit of ageism on my part. But he's been very impressive. Very impressive. And a large reason why his team are doing quite well at the moment. He's definitely been a surprise for me. Definitely.
Is he the reason JSK are surviving? Because the way I look at JSK's wins, right? I think the first game they played was against. I think it was in Durban. So the first game they played was against the Pretoria Capitals. That was a high-scoring game, and they managed to defend a total at. It was actually not high-scoring. It was 168. They managed to defend 168 thanks to the likes of Richard Gleeson. Then the JSK then went on to stun the Super Giants with that 80 all-out game in Durban. Then they beat them again at home in a super over game, which could have gone both ways. So they don't look convincing at the top of the order. It's just a team it feels to me that it's a team that has a smart captain, a smart coach, and they've got some smart cricketers, a little bit older, and they're managing to win games win games where they should be losing. They should have lost their game in Pretoria against the Pretoria Capitals because the Capitals were like 100, like 94, like 1 or 2, whatever it is, and then they precipitated a collapse of Protea like proportions where they lost like 8 wickets for like 40 runs or something stupid like that. The Super Giants match was the Super Giants won the toss and they chose to bat first, and on a pitch that was under the covers with all the rain around, they put themselves in that position, but the Super Kings took full advantage. And that's the thing, you can only beat what's in front of you, and that's what they've done. And then obviously the game against the Super Giants again in Joburg, umpiring aside, they had it in their grasp to win the game and they couldn't. So for me, JSK have found a way to win when other teams kind of give them that opportunity and they give them a hand and they take the full arm. They're still not convincing to me, but I think they've done enough to make the playoffs, which they're a very dangerous prospect in that, because Faf's not firing, Donovan's firing here and there. There's no one at JSK where I sit there with the bat and I'm like, maybe. Vian's a little weird. It's not.
It's people I wasn't expecting. So their leading wicket taker is Richard Gleeson, who I think is a couple of years past his best. And Riley Viserys, the leading run scorer. Now, Riley, if you told me that was going to be the case, I would have said, well, then JSK is going to lose every game. If they're the leading for their team, then JSK is nowhere. The fact that they're leading in terms of their team's performances and they're doing really well, that tells me something about their team. It tells me that their team is playing well as a team rather than relying on a Faf, as you say, a Faf to get them out of fire all the time. As you say, that's a credit to the coaching setup, that they get themselves out of fire in tight situations.
And credit to a couple of players, Matthew de Villiers coming in as a wild card and starting, as well as Prenel and Subrine. Pren's, has come in, not the highest paid player. You've got the likes of Akil Hussein, Imran Tahir, and he's managing to put them on the sideline, which is really, really awesome. So congratulations to them, because I think for me, it's those types of performances that make sense. And then obviously Donovan Ferreira, keeping, taking off the gloves and batting. It's an all-rounder. But anyway, Paul second. We didn't expect that. We thought the Asa Tribes would struggle here. David Miller wasn't on form. Their bowling was going to be an issue. But Bartman, Ngobani Mokoena have really stepped up in helping Paul come through some tough games, right? And I think the game that they won the other day by 7 wickets was against MI Cape Town. They really put MI Cape Town in a chokehold yesterday. But again, against MI Cape Town on the 2nd of Jan as well, as a 1-1 win that they had as well, was a nail biter, and they managed to come through, and their bowlers really are stepping up. And then they did beat the Sunrisers in Tebeka as well. So really, really, it's a team that, again, squad not the biggest names, but they're doing what they need to do. Luandre is stepping up. David Miller is scoring. He scored a 116 and a 58. He's striking at 163. But it's about Othniel Bartman. This team just speaks Othniel Bartman as well, in bucket loads as the leading wicket taker. And number 4 on the list is Ngobani Mokoena, and also a certain Zimbabwean man, Sikandar Raza, who has only played 2 games, but is number 3 in the wicket charts at the SA20.
Yes, I think Mokoena has been excellent. The 19 player, we know him obviously from a domestic point of view, but international viewers might have known him. He's the sort of guy that you want, because he's got those tricks that Bartman has, in recent times, apart from Proteas colours, got down to a T. McWerner is still working at it, but he's got those variations and he's working at them and he's improving. So his game is obviously improving, having Bartman there with him. They're working together very, very well when they bowl together in the passages of play. I think that you're right. We were worried about Miller. I think his powers are definitely diminishing, but he's just doing enough. He's getting team over the line. He's got a team over the line the other day with 16 or not out, but just making sure that there's no panic. And I think his captaincy has been excellent. I think there've been times when they have won a couple of close games where he's just slowed everything down. If you look at what he's done, he slowed everything down, moved the field slowly, talk to the bowler, relax the bowler, give them the instruction, and not letting the opposition batter take control, making the team take control. I think his captaincy, from a leadership point of view, has been excellent from David Miller. So they're doing nice. I thought they would punch above their weight in this competition, particularly at home. So it's not that surprising to me. But it's good to see. They're certainly making my Cape Town look very, very silly.
Oh, yeah. Look, I think it's contrasting fortunes for the finalists. The Sunrise are still there and thereabouts, 12 points, having lost one game and a no result, but 2 wins. They beat the Paarl Royals initially in Paarl, and then they went on to beat the Pretoria Capitals, who don't look that great as well. They did lose to Paarl Royals on the 31st, and their game against the Super Kings in Joburg was abandoned. This team is still the team to beat for me, Tim. The only thing that I'd be worried about is the captaincy. However, all the bases are covered. They just need their batters to find form. Their bowlers are really good. Alan Milne, Nokia. This Ratnayake player is unbelievable. Bowling left and right-handed, ambidextrous, and must be a nightmare for a batter, but really awesome for a captain because, again, that's the type of player you pick on character traits without even playing international cricket. Like, if Ratnayak is not in this team for Sri Lanka, I don't know what will, because it solves your problem. Off spin, a right arm off spin and a little bit of left arm spin, But yeah, he's been very good. I really love their bowling attack. It's just obviously they just need to navigate that, and they're playing the Pretoria Capitals today, which, based on the way the Capitals are playing, should be a W. So yeah, look, they're doing really well. I just think it's a massive statement for Tristan Stubbs and his captaincy, and we just want to see him find form again. I think that's what this team is missing more than anything else, and that's where it is, right? Britsky's there. They've got the talent, Talman, Britsky, De Kock, Besto, Stubbs. They've got the guys. It's just it just needs to click.
Yeah, spot on. Only, let me just check up to quickly. So only Herman and De Kock are firing in terms of the batting. But Britsky's doing okay, but the rest of them, Besto's doing poorly, Stubbs is doing poorly, Craiger's not offering anything. Coles, they are struggling in terms of the batting. There's no doubt about it. I thought they would deliver with the ball. I thought Adam Milne would be special. He's been excellent. He's been really, really good. Nokia is, I'd say Nokia is back to who he was before all his injuries came about. I really think his pace is back. His accuracy is back. That's a huge plus for the Sunrisers to have him back firing, fit. And you're right, in terms of the bowling, they're all delivering. It just needs to click both ends now. They need the batsmen to come through. They don't even have to finish number one. They know that they know how to win this competition. All they have to finish in the top three, go through, and they can win this trophy again. They just need the batters to come through because you can't keep relying on Herman and Quinton de Kock every single game.
Yeah, and then DSG, 1 win in 5. Obviously, they had 2 no results. Is it just a situation of them being unlucky and being in Durban, or is it just something's not right there? Because again, the batting, the names just come off the tongue. They look so good. But from a bowling perspective, I think that's where they found themselves wanting the inability to be able to put teams under pressure. It's just fallen short. Simon Harmer's been a blessing in disguise, but I know you want Simon Harmer in the World Cup squad, but like if you're relying on Simon Harmer to keep you in the SA20 in the year of our Lord 2026, you have a serious problem. No, Ahmed is great, but from a fast bowling perspective, they've really struggled. Ethan Bosch has not looked the same Ethan Bosch that he was in the CSA T20. Gwena is hot and cold. It's not a consistent thing, but he's a child. He's young, but he's fast, he's quick, he's the most dangerous bowler that they have, but the consistency is what's missing. Is that the problem with DSG, or are we also looking at their batting struggles? Claessen's not done much. Conway has done something. Kane's also trying something, but Markram and Klaassen and Butler are the ones we're looking to say, gents, where the runs?
I think Butler's been staying up all night watching the Ashes.
oh yes. So Christmas. He didn't have Christmas in the team hotel. He's got money now. Well, he's always had money, but they rented a villa in Franschhoek, I think, and they had Christmas there and had a bride. Ask me how I know this.
Because you were there.
No, he spoke about it on his podcast, Tim. But again, it was talking about the Ashes. And I was going, ooh, is Joss focused on cricket or living his best summer with his children in Cape Town, in South Africa? Look, no better place to spend December and January, Joss. That's great. But we arrived at the Wanderers the other night, hoping you'd give us a show. And all you gave us was 3 runs in a super over and a non-textbook flick to point when you're trying to put it down the leg side. So, dude, can you please, Universe Joss, come on, give the people of South Africa something, not stories about how you bride for the first time and you had prawns for starters. And I shouldn't know this, but I know you're a podcaster like me, so I'm going to take the stick out of it. So, Joss, if you ever want to come on our podcast, please do let us know.
Oh my goodness, prawns in South Africa, man. Goodness gracious me. No, but put that aside. Obviously, they're not clicking. Their personnel is very, very good, very impressive. For whatever reason, it's not clicking. I don't think it's nearly anything as problematic as it has been in previous years. I still think they've got time to turn it around. My one issue is all their pace bowlers are going for runs. And I look at the reserves and I go, but he's not any better. Tupavlan hasn't had a game. I love Darren Tupavlan. Yeah. I really do. Big fan
Tristan
of his.
Lees, Dan Halim. There's no help coming.
Exactly. Tristan's going to go for runs. Quinn is going for 11. Tristan will go for 11. You need somebody.
The other thing is
going to do that.
Yeah. The other thing is Gerald's coming back. So maybe that's the guy they need, because kind of like in the auction, you kind of were like, you guys are relying on Gerald and Gwena. That's what it was. But yeah, too much pressure on Noah, too much pressure on Simon. But look, we do know that Devon Conway is leaving, and that's going to bring in Liam Livingston. We've all seen Liam Livingston in the SA20. You just hope that he can, give you a couple of innings, two out of two or three innings to kind of help kickstart this team. But again, it's not looking good for DSG. The other team it's not looking good for is the Pretoria Capitals. The less said about them, the better. I don't know, Tim. yes, I know you got Devo Bevis, but this is who Devo Bevis is. And as a Proteas fan, this is what he's going to give you. You might end up going through an entire tournament with him not scoring runs. And it's a massive problem. I like Will Smeed at the top. I thought he's really good. I like Bryce Parsons at the top. I think he's deserved his chance. But everywhere else in that batting lineup outside of Devil Bevis, I question. I like, who's that? Is it not Nicky P? Shy-Hope. Shy-Hope I like too. But again, Shafane Rutherford as well. You're like, oh, it's like, what's going on? But then from a bowling perspective, I think that's where they come short a lot. And I think Mpho Mills is great. He's rolling back the years. But what else do they have? They've got Cash. They've got Mpho Mills. I really do think the bowling options that they have just aren't going to get them to where they need to get to.
For the personnel that they have, they should be doing better. What's also most concerning is, while my Cape Town are getting absolutely thrashed in their games, Pretoria are losing games they shouldn't be losing. You mentioned the other one the other day. They're getting themselves into winnable positions and collapsing. That is a massive problem for them at the moment. I would say for that reason, maybe not in terms of where they are in terms of on the board, but I think I'd be most concerned about Pretoria Capitals out of all of the teams, simply because they're not getting enough out of what I think is very good squad. I think Rutherford is excellent. I think Shy-Hope's excellent. Purvis is quality. We know Parsons. Connor Easthuizen's there. One guy that I know this is going to be clipped up as Cape propaganda. That's fine. Absolutely fine. You can clip it up as Cape propaganda. But Daniel Smith getting one game, when you're struggling, when you look at what he did in the last 12 months as a T20 cricketer, he has transformed his game as a T20 cricketer. And you give him one game.
I'm going to ask, who must he come in for?
Anyone. I would drop Will Smeed. Honestly.
Huh?
I would drop Will Smeed. Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yes. You open with Shy-Hope. Shy-Hope will get you more runs than Will Smeed will.
I love how you also defending Bryce Parsons. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And also, you didn't go after Connor Easthuizen, the big C. Connor's going to play for the Proteas next year. I don't know if Cal Verena knows this, but he might lose the gloves when Australia comes to this other child, Connor Easthuizen. But yeah, and Cal's on. Which team is Cal? Cal's not on this team. But again, it's just it's a problem. Like, even bowling wise, like, you got Lungi, you got Mpho Mills. There's nothing there. Like, Lungi's great, but like, where's your second and third option? Like, Sunrisers have Mil, Nokia, Janssen. They've also got Sipamla waiting in the wings. They've got, like, that's fast bowling. The thing with JSK, which is the difference, is that JSK literally have Richard Gleeson. Like, it's that or nothing else, right? And obviously Nandre's not playing, but their guy is stepping up, whereas none of the Pretoria Capitals guys are stepping up from a bowling perspective, and then that's why they've gone with all the spin, right? Like, at JSK, Duan Janssen is decent, but not giving you much. I think that's what the problem is.
It's exposed that these last two teams, in that they've gone for people who have at one point been good, but are not currently good. Both of them could do with a Matthew Boast. Both teams could do with a Matthew Boast going in now. Both are struggling in terms of pace personnel, Matthew Boast would give you wickets, and he would give you a few lusty blows coming in at number 9. We did say at the time, we said when all the squads were announced, one of the 2 or 3 unlucky chaps, one of them was definitely Matthew Boast.
Yeah. Tim, let's go to your team in Cape Town. The winners of last year, they're only sitting on 2 points after 5 games. They're hosting JSK tomorrow at Newlands. Hopefully, that's going to kickstart a run of games that gets them back in. I've always called them the Blue Ferrari, but again, Tim, this year the Blue Ferrari has found a way to break up, to stall on the highway. What's the problem there?
It's like Liverpool Football Club at the moment. You've won something, you've gone to the Everest, and you've just completely and utterly disintegrated. And I don't think it's easy to explain. The team isn't changed. The team isn't massively overhauled. They didn't get rid of like half a dozen players and shove in a new bunch of players. It's very difficult for me to explain. All I can say is it's pretty much game over. I don't see. I know T20 cricket is a funny game, but winning 5 in a row, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I see no clear plan, no clear direction, which you do need in T20 cricket. You need a sort of plan and a nucleus of players that are doing okay, and you build up around that. I don't see it. I see it as it's done. We work for 2027 because it's been seismic. I did not predict it. I didn't actually think we would defend the title, but to see this drop off, it's very hard for me to explain, other than just complete and utter disintegration.
Yeah. Look, I always find it hard with like T20, and this is also with the whole World Cup selection point, right? You have to marry consistency. You have to marry talent with form. They certainly are a talented team. Probably one of the best 11s in this year's SA20. But like every coach, even the coaches going into the World T20 know that if your key players are just off form, you find yourself in a whole world of hurt. And that's what this team is. Rix is the only player who's showing real flashes. Rassie struggled, Reza struggled, Nicky P has struggled. Jason Smith scored that 41 or 15, but after he was announced as a Protea, it's fallen off a cliff. Your boy Tom Moores, what are we going to say about that? Gorgeous George, not giving us anything with the bat. Noah's Rashid, Noah's Corbin. And then from a bowling perspective, they just haven't been able to make the inroads that they did last year. Trent Bolt, KG, and Corbin. And as well as Rashid. Rashid bowls well in South Africa. And I feel for Robbie P. But like when your key players are just off form, you're going to find yourself losing these games. They scored 220. They scored 200 chasing 220 in the first game. Hey, they weren't supposed to be chasing they weren't supposed to be tonked for 220, but they did well. And then all the other games are just weird. They had batting collapses. The bowlers can't hold up. And yeah, like yesterday's batting collapse was the worst. Being bowled out for 88 is not something, you can write home by, but Sikandar Raza just took them to the sheds and did some things to them. So yeah, look, I don't know how you turn it around, but it's a very disappointing season for MI Cape Town. And obviously they stuck with this team for a while now because obviously the auction's for like the next 3 years. So it's going to be interesting what they do in the off season if they make any trades. But I do think you need to find a way to see if you can't get value for either a Rassie or a Reza somewhere else, right? Like for instance, hypothetically, Reza goes to the other side and you ask for Connor Esterhuizen back, that would help Pretoria Capitals. Maybe you do a Reza to JSK for Matthew de Villiers. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You know, you try flip because we trade, right? So you try flip Reza for someone else. You also try flip Corbin. I think Corbin would be a very interesting prospect that you could get some value for on the other side, especially with the skill set. But I wouldn't necessarily trade a. Actually, no. Let me take Corbin out of this. People are going to say I hate on him, but you know, like the Thomas Cabers. There are teams that need players like Thomas Caber. Oh, then the fun one was we saw a Jacques Snyman sighting, which was really, really awesome. But it also tells you that that he's going through that Robbie P is going through a very, very tough point in time. Because you're trying to find 2 or 3 batters who are on form and have them bat together. It's the same issue DSG have. Like they don't have batters who are on form that you can be like, oh no, at least this person's playing well and this person's playing well. But Paul Royals and JSK are doing it because, you know, some of their key players are, you know, scoring runs at the right time. This team, no one's scoring runs at the right time. Pretoria Capitals, no one's doing it. DSGs, no one's doing it. And that's why they find themselves in this conundrum. And, you know, at least Robbie's trying to add new players and see whether someone's going to come right. But sometimes you just got to pick the team and wait and see and hope that they come right.
Yeah. It's if the one thing is true, it's the T20 format is forever changing. And look, it's not impossible that we can go 5 unbeaten. In terms of personnel, the personnel is there. It's just about finding, as you said, the right combination so it all clicks together.
Yeah, no, it is about finding the right combination. Look, they are about 3. They need 3 wins out of 5. That gets you to 14 points, but you got to hope that in those wins you're stopping some of the guys at the top of the table. Because I do think around about 15, 16. Sorry about that. Again, another mic issue. If they win about 4 out of the next 5 games, they could find their way into the playoffs. It's just that if they do this, here's the thing: they are as talented to do this. If there was a team that could do this, there were 2 of them. It's Sunrisers and it's MI Cape Town. And if they could, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. So yeah, Tim, that brings us to the end of our show. Any final things that we need to be looking out for in SA20 in the next coming week?
I would say keep an eye on DSG because I think DSG. I've been very critical of him in recent years. I think it's going to come together. I think at the back end of this competition, I've just got a funny feeling it's going to come together, and I think they're gonna shock somebody. I think it's going to be a win where you think, nah, they're not gonna win that game, and they're gonna put it out the hat. There's something about them that I think is bubbling under the surface. Keep an eye on DSG.
Keep an eye on DSG. Look, also keep an eye on player movements, people coming in and out. Obviously, we know Devon Conway will be leaving and thing will be coming back. The ILT20, Lemmy Livingston will be coming back. The ILT20 is also ended, so there'll be players coming back in. I know that Andre Russell will be coming in for the Pretoria Capitals, which would be a very interesting prospect to do. So keep an eye on that. But in this week, there's some matches that will be happening today. As you're probably watching this, the Pretoria Capitals take on the Sunrisers Eastern Cape. Then you have MI Cape Town tomorrow in Newlands taking on Joburg Super Kings. Then on Wednesday, you've got the Durban Super Giants taking on the Pretoria Capitals in Durban. Hopefully there's no rain there. Thursday, Joburg Super Kings host the Paul Royals at the Wanderers in a very intriguing top-of-the-table clash. Durban Super Giants on Friday to host the Sunrisers Eastern Cape. That's the game that Tim's going to say you need to watch. They might just win that one. And then on Saturday, it's a double header. Paarl Royals taking on Pretoria Capitals and Paarl. And then in Johannesburg, it's Joburg Super Kings taking on MI Cape Town. And then on Sunday, you've got Sunrisers taking on Durban Super Giants in the reverse of the Friday fixture. I think that's it for our show. Please do watch out for that. It's going to be very interesting. Just a quick thing on the bowlers and the batters who've done well. Top 3 wicket takers in the tournament is Othniel Bartman on 11 wickets at an average of 12. His economy rate is 9.2 though. Richard Gleeson, 8 wickets and average of 9.5, economy rate of 7.47. And Sikandar Raza and Ngobani Mokoena both on 7 wickets. Sikandar Raza 5.71 average, economy rate of 5. Ngobani Mokoena takes wickets at 16 runs per wicket and an economy rate of 8. From a batting perspective, Ryan Rickleton still leads the run scorers with 199 runs, average of 49, strike rate of 168. Jordan Hanman, 146 runs, average of 73, strike rate of 175. And Quinton de Kock, 126 runs, and an average of 42, and a strike rate of 163. So yeah, those are the key stats leaders at the halfway mark of this tournament. We'll be back next week to kind of talk about the permutations towards the playoffs, which will be at the end of next week. Outside of that, for myself and Tim, it's goodbye. And oh no, before we go, remember, follow us on SA Cricket Pod on X, subscribe to YouTube. Also follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can also buy some coffee at buymeacoffee.com. The QR codes are on your screen, so you can also do that there. Outside of that, you can also send us an email at SA Cricket Pod. Where's the email? Oh, there it is. At sacricketpod@gmail.com. Outside of that, for myself and Tim, it's goodbye and lesale kagafiso.